Lamer Gamers. This is Lamer Travis and
Rowdy 5000
for the Lamer Gamers podcast. And in today's episode, Lamer Travis is a little bit delirious because he's been working too much this week. So I apologize for any unplannedness, but let's talk about what's in the show. So it's going to be wild.
It's basically all unplanned.
It's going to be a good time, though. So we're going to talk about, Rowdy's going to talk about the Borderlands movie. I'm going to talk about how Elon Musk and a warthog go on an adventure together. Then we'll talk about the Norse Viking Tencent, known as Embracer Group. Afterwards, we'll talk about how Zenimax is punishing their employees that made Fallout 76 and putting them into a vault. Actually, that's a complete lie. They're making a subsidiary called Vault. Afterwards, Rowdy is going to hype me up about Mass Effect Legacy. We'll hit up the Lamer of the Week, which is, yeah. It's what it is. It's going to involve algorithms and Terraria. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Rowdy's going to talk about some games during Gaming Impressions too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll end the show with bonus points where we asked a bunch of lamers online, is it game over for Google Stadia? That and more coming up on the Lamer Gamers podcast. Rowdy, cue the music.
Now, before we press the start button on the news, if you like what we're doing, don't forget to press up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start, then like and subscribe on your current podcasting providers. We're on all of them. I think.
Except for that one.
Still not.
I have tried. I've begged and I've pleaded with iHeartRadio. They'll put Lamer Gamers bites on there. We can put snippets of our episode, but
not
they
whole
don't want
episodes.
The whole show. No.
Ugh. Well,
I don't know.
You can also check us out at Lamer Gamers Cast on Twitter and share the show with a lamer you know.
Heck yeah.
Oh man. So what is it? There's a ton of news. It's all all over the place kinda.
It's wild right now.
We're gonna try to keep it focused.
I'm probably gonna run around like a squirrel. Rowdy's gonna tell you some stuff about Borderlands. Rowdy, tell me about Borderlands while I channel my spirit animal Claptrap.
All right, man. So we've heard over and over again about a Borderlands movie. It was pitched, years ago. Supposedly they had writers, there was a script written, all kinds of stuff. Well, we all know video game movies are absolutely terrible, so we'll have to see when this comes out. But this one actually has some star power. It's going to be directed by Eli Roth. Apparently he's not the guy that I thought he was when I looked him up. He's an actor, been in some movies I've seen. The favorite movie that I've seen him in is Inglourious Bastards.
Good one.
But we've got kind of a weird casting so far. One that I forgot to tell you before we started, Patricia Tannis has been cast as Jamie Lee Curtis.
What?
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be in Borderlands?
Yeah, dude. So the main siren, Lilith, is Cate Blanchett. So
I'm cool with that.
Again, kind of big star power here.
Right.
Roland was actually one of my favorite characters to play as. He is going to be played by Kevin Hart, which is kind of funny because Roland's kind of tall and buff, and Kevin Hart is the opposite of tall. But
they can do a lot of things with, graphics nowadays.
But today, as of this recording, Friday, February 12th, Jack Black was cast as Claptrap.
That to me is the most awesome thing I've heard. I really like the idea of him as Claptrap. Now, my question is, though, are they going to make him sound like Claptrap, or is it going to sound like Jack Black?
There will definitely be some effects on his voice. I guarantee it. Because there, if you listen to Claptrap between, what is it, the last game and this game? Well, the same person has played Claptrap in the original 3 games. What is it, 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. Well, in part 3, it's a different actor, and a lot of people didn't notice. So,
Nice.
They might make Jack Black sound like Claptrap. I don't know. I don't know why you would cast Jack Black, though, if you just wanted to make him sound like Claptrap.
I'm curious if the Google algorithm and Claptrap are related. Like in a future scenario, you know, because Borderlands is what? It's kind of post-apocalyptic, right?
No, it takes place on other planets.
Well, I'm going to imagine it is in my head. And that the Google algorithm, which we'll talk about later, is the spirit animal of Claptrap. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up.
But yeah, man, that's basically it. We don't have a release window. We don't have when production starts, anything like that. I just know that we have a couple writers, we have a director, and a few people have been cast. So we'll see if this even gets off the ground.
So I'm wondering, you know, we just, with all the stuff that's going on right now, we're pretty much seeing the collapse of the movie industry, right?
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
it feels like they either have to do a sequel, have to do a reboot, or go after an industry that is doing really well to get people to join in the movies. It makes sense that they're going to start going after video games, and hopefully they actually make good video game movies, unlike most video game movies.
Most of them are terrible, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever go to watch a video game movie and you see that it is written or directed by, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Uwe Boll or Uwe Boll.
Oh, that dude, yeah.
He has made basically every single video game movie you could think of, and they're all terrible. But then, like, if you go back and look at, like, the Mario Brothers movie, awful. You can't even find that on streaming services.
Now, there is a point, though, where a movie is so bad that it's actually kind of good. And in my mind, that is the Mario Brothers movie.
Dude. John Leguizamo and, oh my God, I can't remember his name now, but the guy that played Mario, they basically hated the script. They hated filming so much that they just stayed drunk the whole time.
This is terrible, and I'm kind of relating it to contemporary politics. But the dude that played Bowser kind of reminds me of the governor of California. Something about the slick back hair gets me every time I see him. And our California listeners just dropped down to 3rd place. Texas is still number 1 as far as who's listening to the show.
I tried to show my wife the Mario Brothers movie, and you literally cannot stream it anywhere. You have to buy a physical version of the show. By the way, I found a VHS of it.
I actually have it on DVD. We're going to have to watch it and just do a side quest of it one day. I think we talked about that in the past, and then, you know, then people couldn't breathe next to each other for a while. So whenever we're allowed to breathe in the same room, we'll do that. Hey.
Well, so this next article is kind of interesting.
So let's talk about something a little weird. Elon Musk. Anytime you start a story that uses Elon Musk in it, it's always going to be a good time. Elon Musk replied somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and read from this Game Informer article. Says Tesla is a leading brand in futuristic vehicles, and apparently creator Elon Musk has already shown that he has no fear about getting too weird whenever it comes to the designs of tomorrow. So if you were thinking of a vehicle in a video game that was almost you. Whenever you think of the game, you think of the vehicle. Yeah, can
Mario
you think
Kart.
of any cars and games? Okay, Mario Kart. But Mario Kart design is pretty simple, right? It's not weird. The only thing that I can really think of is the Warthog from Halo. And Aaron Greenberg, who, of course, works at Moneybags Microsoft, said on Twitter, "It sure feels like a Tesla and Halo collaboration needs to happen at some point." And Elon Musk said, "Only Halo." So I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, have you seen the Cybertruck, Rowdy?
Yeah, it actually looks like the Warthog, kind of.
Yeah, you just need to spray paint the Cybertruck green. I'm making Rowdy watch a stream where I'm zooming in on the Cybertruck for him, just to make sure he remembers.
With that broken window.
That is true. So that was the funniest thing ever that happened. So hubris. I know I've mentioned that. It's pride cometh before a fall, right? I didn't realize that is what I was zooming on. So
Yep.
he started. So they made the windows where they were bulletproof,
Well, supposed to
or
be.
shatterproof. Yeah. And he challenged people to throw things at it. And I think he threw it at it himself, right?
Yep.
And wouldn't you know, it just shattered when he threw it. I mean, it's not completely gone. There's a nice spherical, circular, shattery
Yeah,
part.
it looks like what happens when you break laminated glass.
Yes. So it should be interesting. I don't think they're going to have to do a whole lot of work to take the Cybertruck and turn it to the Warthog. Now, I will be honest. I don't play a lot of Halo. I know I'm like the resident Xbox nerd lately, but I didn't grow up on the Xbox. I was not, riding a Warthog down the road instead of one of those little electric cars that you did like as a kid, right?
Big wheels.
So, big wheels. Yes. Thank you, Rowdy. So, what is... You were saying that you remembered special memories of the Warthog, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be a real Warthog unless it can flip over within a second of somebody touching the side of it.
After seeing his window demonstration, I wouldn't be surprised.
Eesh.
Oh.
All right, man. What do we have next on here?
All right, next up on this crazy train, we have the Embracer Group. So there's this new company that is being called the Nordic Tencent. So if you know anything about Tencent, it is the Chinese company that is like a giant squid monster who has its tendrils in lots and lots of different companies.
They are a gaming Goliath.
Yes.
A giant.
Exactly. And there is now a very Swedish group, very Viking-like. In my head, it's like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but with programmers and engineers. That's how I imagine this. They have a hat, and they've taken like rulers and turned them into horns. But anyway, the Embracer Group recently bought... I guess we should have segued this with our first story. The owners of Borderlands, Gearbox, and they are making a massive group. So Embracer Group has 8 different groups under its direct subsidiaries: Amplifier Game Invest, Coffee Stain Holding, Deca Games, Easy Brain, Gearbox, Koch Media, Saber Interactive, and THQ Nordic. That's a lot of games. So,
dude, THQ Nordic alone is a great company.
They have been releasing a lot of stuff too. So I am going down. There are just a ton of different companies that they own. If you are interested in any of the games for those companies, they're just getting bigger and bigger. Now, Koch Media is known by another name too, called Deep Silver. They have Fish Labs and a whole bunch of other companies that are pretty big. So I was trying to find a list of games in their group. Maybe it's on this page that shows all these numbers that I don't want to read and bore everybody to death with. But
Nope.
Nope. All right, guys. So that is happening, though. Just kind of expect to hear some things coming out from Gearbox being bought by, which I'm kind of interested. So Gearbox was actually based in Frisco, Texas, and founded in 1999. So the Vikings have come to Texas, Rowdy. And they
I'm sure
Gearbox.
there's more companies under Embracer that were within Texas and other places in the U.S. But the funny thing that I guess not so funny now for me, I actually got excited when I heard this. And I know that sounds ridiculous because a lot of the times when these kind of companies come in, it's a little upsetting. Sometimes they'll get rid of the employees there. They'll get rid of the the higher ups, the suits, if you will. So I actually got excited because I thought that Embracer might be getting rid of Randy Pitchford, the head of Gearbox. I can't stand him. Nobody can stand him. He's a giant douche. Well, he gets to stay on. So
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Rowdy. So, all right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to the next news article, which I find interesting. So Zenimax and Bethesda are being put in a temporary subsidiary. Now, a lot of people were really concerned that they were going to change the name of Zenimax, and who knows, they might still. But now there's going to be a new parent company to both of these called Vault. Called Vault. For you Bethesda and Fallout fans, it's called Vault.
Man. And we know what happens in the vaults.
Yeah, so we have been contacted by a couple of by some concerned citizens for the employees of Bethesda who will let you know about why their employees should be concerned about what happens in Vault. So you'll hear that throughout the show in some of our commercials. They're paying us good fake money from Fallout 76 that we'll never use because nobody's playing that game that is in their right mind.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's real
Now,
bad.
They still haven't finished this, though, right? They still have a couple of hurdles to jump over. It's looking pretty good. I think in the EU, they're going to be finalizing this sometime in February.
Okay.
So those of you that are just praying for Microsoft to not keep them, there's still a chance. It's a small chance. But it's going to happen, and they're going to get put in a vault, and all sorts of terrible things are going to be done to these employees that they said was temporary.
But we'll see.
We all know the vaults were only supposed to be temporary.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
You've played plenty of Fallout games. You know when you come across one of those shady vaults, like the one in Fallout. I think it's Fallout 4. Where there was the one where they just put a bunch of drug addicts in a vault full of drugs. Mm-hmm. There was one vault that was nothing but a bunch of clones of the same person.
I know one vault was rigged so it would never close. So they literally told all these people in this area to run to the vault, and they brought them down into it, and the doors never closed, and it just exploded.
Nice.
So I guess they were part of the ghouls. Yeah, if you've never played a Fallout game, I don't know how you haven't. That's basically what the vaults are. They're supposed to be the saviors for this group of people dealing with the apocalypse, but really, they're just experiments. And I think the game alludes to the fact that this apocalypse is really brought on by the people that run the vaults.
Yeah, Vault Tech is not exactly the best company in the world.
No.
Yeah,
not
a
at
little shady.
All right. So next up, Rowdy, I have a question for you.
Yes. Go for it.
There's been an announcement.
Yes.
That they are re-releasing Mass Effect games in the Legendary Edition,
Legacy
Why?
Edition.
Whatever it is. Legacy? That says
Yep.
legendary.
Well, in the
I
notes,
thought it was Legacy too, but don't read my notes. They're not good. All right. So, why should I be excited about this? I've never played the first couple Mass Effects. I only played Andromeda.
look, let me talk to you about how good and how influential Mass Effect has been to the gaming industry. So, BioWare, the company who made Mass Effect, they have quite the pedigree when it comes to RPGs. They did the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic series, which were fantastic. I was going to say a curse word there, but probably shouldn't. So, then they worked on Dragon Age. Again, another great series. Mass Effect is, at the time, let me just put it this way. I love Star Wars, and there has never been a Star Wars game that is better than any of the first 3 Mass Effect games. It is one of the greatest stories told. The storytelling in it is absolutely amazing. And at the time when they came out, it was fairly new technology to bring the old save file from the last game into the new game. So you could start the first game, and then all the choices you made in this game would carry over to the second game. And if you hadn't played the first game and you start the second game, you basically go through like a little short story version of it where you get to pick what you would have done in that situation, and then it just picks it up. So basically, there are storylines in Mass Effect 3 that could have been affected by choices you made in Mass Effect 1.
Well, that's cool. So it's going to, when I, in the future, play all these, it's going to go through multiple games, and it's like a really big game of choose your own adventure.
Yes.
Oh, snap. That's going to be a couple hundred hours of my life that's gone away now that you told me about that.
Dude, but the stories in this game are absolutely amazing. Now, I really liked Andromeda. I know a lot of people didn't. It had a lot of bugs. It wasn't the best game to look at. But Andromeda was really good.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't finish it. I thought it was very cool.
Now, I didn't play Mass Effect 1 because this was at the time when I had already switched to Sony and was boycotting Microsoft at the time. And Mass Effect 1 didn't come out on any PlayStation system. So I picked it up at Mass Effect 2, and I got to basically pick all of the storylines that I would have done in the first one to start the second one. Now, I know I've said a lot of good things, but the ending of Mass Effect 3, the original ending, let me put it that way. So the original ending made it feel like a lot of the choices that you made in the game were for nothing.
Ew.
Well, they went back, they redid everything. The ending, it makes more sense now, but it's still kind of meh. But let me just say, it's worth it playing all 3 of these games. Now, if you're a completionist, get ready to lose a couple months of your life. Because if you want all those storylines, like, oh, well, I didn't like the way that story went in Mass Effect 3. I'm going to have to go all the way back to Mass Effect 1 to change that.
So how long do each of these games take to beat? I mean, are we talking about 3 different 60-hour adventures here?
Now, I don't think I put that much time into it. But let's look this up real quick.
Because I'm curious how much of my life is gone. Because I have a history of playing games that you kind of choose your own way through, like Outer Worlds, Pillars of Eternity, and then I play them again and again, and then it's just my wife staring at me as I go through all sorts of different adventures.
So, from what I can see here, I think this is Mass Effect 1. If you do just the main story, it clocks in at just over or just under 18 hours.
Oh, that's nothing.
It says here, like, main with extras, just under 30 hours.
Is it even an RPG at that point?
It's very story-driven, and there's not a whole lot of choices that you make.
Okay.
So it's definitely more action-based. It's very story-heavy, but it's definitely action-based. So yeah, so the first game, it looks like you can knock it out with a good bit of it in less than 30 hours. Mass Effect 2 linked here. Let's see. Mass Effect 2 length, 20 to 40 hours in length, depending on your playstyle. So,
Gotcha,
I mean, you're probably looking at just over 100 hours for all three.
Looking on their website, they're hyping me up just by me reading this. So it says, relive the cinematic saga. Apparently it's going to include single-player based content and 40 DLCs from all the games.
Oh, yeah.
Also, including the promo weapons, armors, and packs. So it has an auto-win button, apparently.
Yeah.
Not really. But it's actually remastered and optimized for 4K Ultra HD. Awesome. That's what I want. I wanted an HDR. I want it shiny. Now, I do have a concern. Rowdy, I'm going to zoom in on this.
Uh-oh.
Actually, I'm not, because it's not letting me, because the stupid website's not letting me. Do you see all the Michael Bay looking lens flares in this?
Oh, dude, that's nothing. Like at the time when the first one was coming out, J.J. Abrams was like huge. So it was nothing but lens flares, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, J.J. Abrams is probably a better example, actually.
Well, no, there's still a lot of explosions and stuff, so I mean, it's definitely Michael Bay-ish as well.
They love their lens flares, and I looked at some video, and I'm afraid to click that because it started making noises. But they're just upping the lens flare to 10 or 11.
I've seen a lot of comparison videos and comparison pictures of the old ones compared to the new ones, and it looks absolutely fantastic. My only problem, like, I really want to play it. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm excited. I don't know when it exactly releases. I don't think it's too far from now. I'm afraid to click this pre-order button, but I'm going to. But I'm not going to, Robin, I'm not pre-ordering this. Just letting you know. Okay, so not yet. Anyway, launches May 14th on PC, Origin and Steam, and then consoles. Okay, cool. All right, so that is pretty much it for the news, isn't it? So we do have one segment of news that we pre-recorded that we're going to, I guess, move on to that involves a lot of awards.
Alright guys, so it looks like our next story comes from GameAwards.net, which is a website Travis showed me. It's a Game Awards tracker, so it's not like it's a new award show, because there's so many it's hard to keep track of. Basically what they do is just keep track of basically the game of the year. And it looks like the game that got the most awards last year, and now officially the most awards of all time, is The Last of Us 2.
Now, this has brought some controversy because that game was... I remember we did an episode a while back where we were looking into the review bombs of The Last of Us 2. It's one of those games that were a little divisive. I think a lot of it had to do with people were not happy with what happened in that game. To a very loved character. Is that giving away too much, or does everybody know?
I mean, the people who played the game and wanted to play the game know by now. But
that is true.
We'll probably leave it at that. But yeah, it's so the game really makes you think about all of the choices that you made in The Last of Us Part 1. It really makes you realize that, in Part 2, everything you did in Part 1, like, you think you're the good guy, you think you're saving all these people, but in the eyes of a character in The Last of Us 2, you're the bad guy. And it points that out to you, and it really makes you think. And I think that's why a lot of people, didn't like the game, because they don't like, or this may be it. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, anything like that, but it seems like these people didn't like the fact that they were a bad guy in people's eyes, because in video games you're supposed to be the good guy, but it doesn't change the fact that it was an amazing game. Visually it looked great, the storytelling was great. I mean, you could be mad about it and say that some things in it shouldn't have happened, or you could say that the game got too PC at points, but I mean, it doesn't change the fact that it was a great game. Probably by my number 2 of last year, though.
So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to get at, because to be the most awarded of all time, I mean, there's a lot of games to go against, some that are not as divisive in some areas. So I wanted to go through this list and see, where do we think the last, or I guess I'm going to defer to Rowdy here. Rowdy, send all your hate mail to Rowdy.
Yes.
And all your angry texts to Rowdy. No, not, it doesn't matter. But I haven't played the game, so I don't feel like I can say for sure. However, a couple of controversies I've heard, and we're going to place where we think The Last of Us 2 should go on this top 10 most awarded of all time. But there has been a little controversy regarding who these awards come from that I've heard, actually. So did you know that some of these awards are things like Red Bull gave an award to a game? Or if you look down on this list, it's not exactly necessarily the greatest arbiters of taste, especially Red Bull, because it tastes disgusting. But
does Red Bull do a game award every year?
Apparently, but how much of that is just paid for?
I don't know, man.
So, I would say you might want to take this list with a grain of salt, because how many of these are paid for? How many of these people are, want certain games to be up there? But let's decide if where The Last of Us 2 should go on this list. So first up, number 10 is Dragon Age Inquisition with 135 awards. This is a game for 2014. Did you ever play Dragon Age Inquisition?
No, but I did play basically every other RPG that BioWare's put out. And, I mean, I can understand.
It is on the Game Pass. I tried a little bit of it. Yeah. It looked good. I was waiting for it to come out on this to play it on the Series X, but I just haven't gotten back to it. It's an RPG, but it has some top-down strategy stuff to it. It's actually pretty cool.
It's basically Mass Effect, but in fantasy times.
With wizards.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, number 9, Red Dead Redemption 2 from 2018 has 150 awards.
It should be higher.
Should The Last of Us 2 be lower or higher?
Higher
than Red Dead. Okay, so it's better?
I think Red Dead needs to be higher on this list, but I still think Last of Us 2 is, well, no. Red Dead 2 should be just above Last of Us 2, in my opinion.
Them's fighting words for somebody on the internet.
Very close, though.
So what makes you say that? Is it like production values? I'd imagine they're both extremely high production values. Is it
just because in when I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I wanted to keep playing it and keep playing it and keep playing it. And when it came to The Last of Us 2, there was actually a lull in the gameplay where I was like, all right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. And then it got to another interesting point. I was like, all right, I'm back in. Whereas Red Dead Redemption 2, man, there was never a lull for me.
All right, next up, for 8th place, a game from, about 8 years ago? Grand Theft Auto 5, which has been released on so many consoles.
I could play it on my refrigerator.
Yeah, it is from 2013. It has 160 awards.
I mean, I could understand why it gets the awards. I mean, the game has evolved so much because I've played it on... I originally played it on PlayStation 3 when it first came out, and the game was great. And then it's just kept evolving over the years, and the detail in that game is really amazing. So I can understand why it keeps getting awards, but one thing I'd like to point out is that most people aren't really playing Grand Theft Auto 5 anymore. They're playing Grand Theft Auto Online, which is part of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right. That's pretty much what it's turned into for most people.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next up, number 7, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End in 2016.
Should be higher on the list. Game is a masterpiece.
So it goes higher than Red Dead too, huh? I feel like we need to move things on a separate column.
I'm gonna say yes. It would be higher than Red Dead 2.
Ooh. Okay.
Because the Uncharted series is a masterpiece from beginning to end. The little side story ones, not so much, but the main entries in Uncharted are just masterpieces. And the way that Uncharted 4 ended, brilliant.
Isn't this a Sony exclusive?
Oh yeah, it's another Naughty Dog game.
This is a very Sony. There's a lot of Sony on this list. Next up, God of War from 2018 has this is a big jump. 210 awards.
Yeah, God of War 2018 should honestly be like number 3 on this list. It should be so high up there. It's such an evolution from the original God of Wars. Because God of War kind of went off it went off the rails for a little bit. Cory Barlog, the guy who created and wrote for the first couple God of Wars, left. Mm-hmm. I think he just straight up left Sony Santa Monica. So they tried to basically just milk everything they could out of God of War, and it just got bad for a while there. So then Cory Barlog came back, decided to I don't want to call it a reboot, because they acknowledge everything that happened in the old God of Wars. I guess maybe like a soft reboot.
Okay, so you were saying that God of War is above everything else so far, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remake Rowdy's list as he's talking.
Yeah, that's my bad.
No, it's cool. You will see a list underneath, and the numbers are all out of whack. But the orders are correct.
So I was going to say, like, under Uncharted 4 on this list right here, you should probably... It should be Red Dead, and then... Okay, yeah, no, you got it. Never mind.
All right, next up on the list, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim from 2011, also released on everything, including a toaster. 227 awards. I think it was on a refrigerator, too.
You could actually play Skyrim on your Amazon Alexa.
Yeah, that is true.
That's not a joke.
This is a game I've played. I think Skyrim should be way the heck up there.
Skyrim is a great game, but it also has its faults. To me,
agreed. It's a sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot of sandbox type games to me wouldn't be high up on the list, although this game deserves to be on there. I'd say for me,
does it beat Grand Theft Auto?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For me, it's going to be. Let me see this list. After Last of Us 2.
Okay, so I kind of readjusted your list. I'm making a separation.
Yeah.
All right, next up, because we're making Rowdy's list. I feel like we need the S tier, the A tier, B tier. Maybe we'll do that.
That'd be a whole other side quest.
That would be. That'd be like a Twitch stream. Rowdy and Travis make bad decisions and anger people with tier lists. Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, next up. On the list, number 4 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild from 2017.
Look, man.
229 awards.
Number one.
Number one?
Number one.
Okay. Hey, I am in agreement with you. I'm actually kind of disappointed with the lack of epic Nintendo games on here.
The thing about Legend of Zelda is it checks off all the boxes. Like, lots of people out there say, oh, well, the only reason Legend of Zelda ever makes it so high on a lot of these lists is because of the nostalgia factor and all this. No, Legend of Zelda checks all the boxes. I mean, it has nostalgia, it has great gameplay, it has great artwork. Like, I know I just said sandbox games don't really make it that high on my list, but there really is. But a lot of them are very linear.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild checks off all the lists.
A lot of games are trying to copy the process of what they did in that game too.
Oh yeah,
since it's come out.
I mean, it's not the first open world game out there, but it definitely perfected it.
Gotcha.
So that one is definitely number one for me.
All right, OG Last of Us from 2013 has 254 awards.
Okay, so OG Last of Us on my list is going to go between God of War and Uncharted 4.
Okay, that's still pretty high up.
OG Last of Us is way better than Last of Us 2. It's a little better than Uncharted 4. It was an original IP that just blew me out of the water. The storytelling was great. It wasn't all happy-go-lucky, feel-good the whole time. It was a great game, man. I loved it.
All right, so second place was recently dethroned. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt from 2015 had 261 awards.
Man, I really feel bad about saying sandbox games don't score that high for me because I'm about to score this one at number 2.
In my head, though, I don't feel like this. I feel Skyrim's a sandbox, right? Because you have so many variations on how you can play or what you can really do. The Witcher 3 still has some linearity to it. There's not a lot of change in the way you can tune your character.
Yeah,
you're still Geralt. You know?
Yeah, you basically have only a set type of magic that you can use. Basically, the most customization you could do is your weapons and your armor. Whereas Skyrim, like, you don't have to use magic at all. You don't have to use weapons. You don't have to use specific types of armor. So yeah, it's still a little sandboxy though. But yeah, dude, I would put The Witcher 3 at number 2.
All right, so
I think that's my list, man.
That is your list, and of course, the number 1 spot that has dethroned The Witcher is The Last of Us Part 2 with 268 awards. But the real lamer list from Mr. Rowdy 5000 puts Legend of Zelda above it. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with Rowdy's list, or do you think he's wrong?
I mean, I'm definitely wrong, but
yeah, everybody's wrong. It's the internet.
I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition is basically the only game on here I didn't play, and that's why it's at the end. But I mean, if Mass Effect were on here, it scored pretty high.
Now, going to this year's list, by the way, are you able to pull up this year's top games? And we'll kind of go through some of those for the 2020 awards. It's just
so
on the
far. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so far you've got, what is it, Last of Us 2 at the top. It looks like Hades is number 2, and Ghost of Tsushima is number 3. I don't know if you've played Hades. It was a surprise for me because
I need to play Hades.
Well, see, I normally don't like roguelike games, and I
heard it was Diablo-like.
I mean, not near as much customization.
Darn.
I mean, you only play as one character, so you can't like pick different classes and stuff like that. But you could change up your weapons. Well, again, you only have a set. You only have set weapons, and every time you start over, you lose all of your perks. So it's basically like Groundhog's Day, the movie. Again, another thing that I hate is Groundhog's Day type games. So this checks off all the boxes of a game I should hate. And I still probably put 10 hours into it. I didn't beat it, but it was still super fun. And I mean, it came out of nowhere. It's by the same people who did Bastion and Transistor.
All right. So let's go, I guess, backwards on this. And we'll start with the this is the participation trophy ones. I guess you could say if they have 5 or less, we'll just consider that a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have with just one measly award. Now this could be an award from a media outlet or who the heck knows. We have 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. I haven't even heard of that game.
No.
Demon Souls. I've heard of that one. That's the one on... Yeah, it's a remake.
That's surprising that it only has one right now.
I agree. Now, it did kind of go quiet, though. I haven't heard much about that game since then.
I mean,
Dreams?
I hate all those games, but I mean, it deserves more, in my opinion. Dreams, that fell off quick, man.
Kentucky Route Zero. I'm surprised. That game's been around for a while. I'm surprised there's an award for it.
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. I thought that'd be higher up there.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand why it's only got one award.
I mean, it should get an award for the cat Spider-Man.
I mean, it just may not be award season yet.
Well, this is all of 2020.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
All right.
Persona 5 Royal. I've heard that good things about that game, but I haven't heard anything like groundbreaking.
So Persona 5 got a ton of awards, but this is just like their updated, like, not necessarily Game of the Year version, but everything added plus some extra stuff. Yeah. So it's not the original version of Persona 5, which got tons of awards, apparently.
Next up, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. I have no clue what that is.
Nope, no idea.
Spiritfarer. Now, I have played Spiritfarer on Game Pass. I'm surprised this hasn't won more awards. It's a pretty fantastic little indie title.
Nice.
Where you are essentially trying to bring over people and animals to the past life, or they're passing on. Gotcha. And you're bringing them across. Next up, Tell Me Why. I'm surprised. I could have sworn I've heard more than one award for Tell Me Why.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how accurate this is now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, there's no ads on this site. So,
I've never played Tell Me Why, and I've never really played the other series that escapes me now, but it was made by Don't Nod Games, and basically every game they have that comes out wins all kinds of awards. They get streamed like crazy. They're very story heavy games.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that one should be higher.
All right, so that's our trash tier. So next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. Now this is looking like a weird math equation to me, but
right.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 got 2 awards. I'm surprised it got any, to be honest.
I mean, it was great nostalgia and everything
Yeah.
because I just played Superman by Goldfinger on repeat and skated everywhere.
Yeah. Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I called Uprising the entire last episode, has
Yeah.
2 awards. I'm surprised it has any that anybody has finished that game because it keeps having corrupted saves.
Yeah,
But it's a good game. It's fun.
I like it.
Yeah, it's very Zelda-y. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is absolutely beautiful game. Has 4 awards. Now, I started playing Will of the Wisps again just because I have video game ADD and as all aspects of my life. But dude, they have it. That game is super sampled in 6K. So they render the game in 6K and then downgrade it to 4K.
Okay.
It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and it's supposed to play in 4K at 120 frames per second.
Wait,
But my
it
TV would explode.
it looks stupid good or stupid bad?
Stupid good.
Okay.
Like, I played it whenever it came out on the 1X for a couple of hours. But it was kind of chuggy. So I put it to the side, and it apparently got underneath 100 or 200 games that were in Game Pass. And I finally found it again, and it's crazy.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Microsoft Flight Simulator with 4. I'm surprised only 4.
I want to play that game, but I want to play it on a computer that could actually run it and not my, like, potato computer.
It's coming out to the Series X on Game Pass.
Nice.
You ought to drop on by and I'll show you how it works. You'll just look through the window, I guess.
Right?
Yeah. This one I'm surprised. Yakuza Like a Dragon has 5 awards. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game. They just never shut up. Oh my gosh.
I'm actually surprised it got this high because I mean,
Yeah.
like Yakuza has kind of been on a downslope until Like a Dragon came out, and then like they're back in the popular eye now, man.
It's actually a good game. I think you could cut off like half of the dialogue or maybe a quarter of it. It's just they treat you like you're as dumb as the main character is the problem in this game. And everybody
and he's pretty
has
dumb.
Oh god, horribly dumb. I'm used to like putting intelligent stats on characters, but I know in Outer Worlds you can put them as dumb, and you actually have entire lines that you can say that is the dumb category. I feel like
Nice.
everything is that. Next up, Assassin's Creed Valhalla only has 5.
I mean,
me,
people know how we feel about this game, and we did a whole episode on it.
Yeah, man. Actually, quite a few people listened to it. Thank y'all for checking that out. Hope we spoiled everything for you. All right, so we are past. We're done with the single digits now for, I guess the bronze award. So less than 20 would be bronze, right?
Okay, yeah.
Half-Life Alyx with 10.
To
Now-
me, this game got this many awards because anytime a Half-Life game comes out, it's basically a tech demo. When Half-Life 1 came out, there were amazing physics in it. Nobody had ever seen that before. Half-Life 2 came out, they just increased the graphics. It looked great at the time. And Half-Life Alyx being a VR game, has been described as basically the pinnacle of VR games. Like, you cannot get better at VR right now than Half-Life Alyx.
I feel like I want to teach like that one teacher did with marker in the game, and they just wrote on the board. I want to teach from Alex.
Right?
Next game with 12 is Happy Confetti Land of Hell Doom Eternal. I call it that because whenever you hit something with a chainsaw, it's
Dude.
just happy confetti sparkles of
Lights
power-ups.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Good game. I
Yeah.
got super frustrated with it because the difficulty
Dude.
spiked, and I don't really
Quick.
like difficult games that much.
There's
But-
somebody like, they're not real gamers. They don't play games that make their eyes bleed.
I mean,
Yeah,
I really
dude.
don't like games like that.
We're lamers.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was fun. It really was. But
Yeah,
then it
but
just got
put
to a
that
point
on
where I
easy,
was
man.
done.
I need that on like kiddie, like less than kid mode. All right, next up, we're at the silver medals. These are less than 50.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So Final Fantasy VII Remake with 22. Now you've played.
Oh, dude. It's an absolutely amazing game. I love it.
Now
Oh,
here's the question. Does Animal Crossing, which is our next one, which has 25 awards, is Animal Crossing New Horizons better?
oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, I mean,
Animal
100%.
Crossing's one of those games that I think is going to be completely remembered for bringing people together.
I still play Animal Crossing almost every single day.
I need to play, like, we need to have a cleanup of my town, I think.
Right?
I haven't played it in forever. There's
We'll do
apparently
We'll do a Twitch
Pave.
stream.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna have we'll have a trash off.
Okay.
In Lake Texas. Yes. All right, and finally, I think I'm reading this wrong, Rowdy.
Okay.
I honestly don't think this game has 29 awards. I think it has negative 29. There's a dash there. Cyberpunk 2077 has 29 awards. Now, this is 10 media outlets, which is non-favored, and 19 readers' choices who all play the game with computers the size of a house and are water-cooled with Mountain Dew and have it in ray trace mode
Yeah.
in 8K.
Yeah.
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 Definitely
I
not
mean,
regular Xbox or PS4 players.
I could understand it getting some awards, but it's definitely not in playable form right now unless you have top of the line equipment.
It shouldn't be beating Animal Crossing.
No.
Cyberpunk's it's a good game. There is a good game in there.
Yeah.
Once you get past it's like they were barbecuing something. You know, past the layers of char, there's might be some meat left in it if
Yeah.
they just put the grill on and just left it there. But
Yeah, I'm
it
gonna wait
needs-
like a year to play it.
Yeah, it needs a little bit more. All right, now we're up to
We'll call it
Man,
gold tier.
this is gold tier, yeah. 50 plus. Well, it's so ridiculous. Ghost of Tsushima.
Dude, that was my personal number one game of 2020.
Ghost of Tsushima. I think that based on what I've seen and heard people say, I think that wins. Now, here's what I'm confused. Is Hades really that much better?
To me, no, but you have to look at in a year of so many good games coming out and a year of so many more people playing video games than normally would. This game came out of nowhere. Like I knew this was coming out. It had been in, I guess, beta for quite a long time, or early access. You could buy it for almost a year, I think, in early access, or maybe even longer. And then when it came out for full release, it just blew everybody out of the water. I mean, the only reason I got it and played it was because of what everybody else was saying.
Gotcha.
And like I said, it's a good game. To me, it's not better than Ghost of Tsushima, but this is awards. So
That is true. And there's so many indie awards.
yeah.
Like, they definitely try to give extra awards to these indies because they got to bump them up.
Oh yeah.
All right, and finally, the top award, which is Oozing Brain Award, or I guess
Platinum
gross, huh?
Platinum tier.
Platinum? No, I think this is like gross tier. It's Zombies: The Last of Us Part 2 with 268 awards. It goes from 56 to 268.
Like 212 more.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right, guys. I guess that's the awards segment.
Yeah.
After this, we're pre-recording this, so I have no clue what's next. But
Yeah,
you'll find out.
This episode's a little different. We're gonna piece it together for a week and a half and see how it works.
get ready for some probably ridiculous sponsor. This is a public service announcement from the concerned citizens of Fallout 3. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your software engineer or programmer working for Bethesda Zenimax is? Recently, there have been anonymous sources claiming those associated with Todd Howard are being put into some sort of vault temporarily. Vaults have been known to house horrendous, ungodly experiments put on by Vault Tech. Some examples of this heinous activity come from Vault 77, where a man was sealed alone for years only with human-like puppets to keep him company. He eventually lost his grip on reality as the puppets began speaking to him, convincing them that the other puppets would murder him. The Puppet Man, as he was called, eventually escaped on a giant irradiated ant, and his whereabouts are unknown. Do not let your software engineer or programmer become like the Puppet Man, and do not approach anyone riding on a giant glowing ant while talking to puppets, because those puppets are armed and dangerous. Keep them out of the vault today for a better future tomorrow. Now it's time for the Lamer of the Week.
The Lamer of the Week is brought to you by the hit Google TV series Algorithm.
Ooh.
From the all-new streaming service Google TV, we present Algorithm. What happens when there's a mishap at the data server and the new AI takes physical form? Algorithm is what happens. Follow the hijinks of the Google staff that now have to teach Al to act human before their boss finds out. What's the worst that could happen? It's not like he's gonna take over the world, right? Right? Sign up now for 5-year membership to Google TV for only $599.99. Act now and we'll double the offer for $999.99. That's right, there's no actual discount, but you'll buy it anyways, you bunch of suckers. All sales are final. Google will not offer refunds when the service is eventually put to rest in the Google graveyard 1 year to date after the release.
Alright guys, so the Lamer of the Week is, well, you were kind of told. It's the algorithm of Google. Now, how the heck does that work with video games on a video game show? Well, the Google algorithm apparently has canceled, or well, I didn't cancel things, I'm sorry, has ticked off the head of the game Terraria. Now, have you ever played Terraria, Rowdy?
Yeah, dude, it's pretty interesting.
Okay, so this is Andrew Spinks. Now, I actually like Terraria quite a bit. It is it's very much one of those builder kind of, I guess people already know what this game is, right? It's basically 2D Minecraft. Yeah, I'm sure somebody that's a huge fan is very unhappy with me. So they tweeted out to Google. They put, at Google, my account has now been disabled for over 3 weeks. I still have no idea why. And after using every resource I have to get this resolved, you have done nothing but given me the runaround. Now, have you ever run into that, Rowdy, whenever you're like trying to get a hold of a massive conglomerate, giant mega corporation, and it seems that even though it makes billions and billions of dollars, and supposedly people are employed by it, there is no one there?
No, man, that never happens to me. I always get people whenever I call in or send an email within like minutes.
You're a dirty, filthy liar. Do you? Do you? Please tell me you're joking.
I'm joking.
Okay. I was like, oh, man. Anyway, so we'll just keep going and read, because it's a whole series of things that he tweeted.
Oh, yeah.
He said, my phone has lost access to thousands of dollars of apps on Google Play. I had just bought Lord of the Rings 4K and cannot finish it. My Google Drive data is completely gone. I can't access my YouTube channel. The worst of it all is losing access to my Gmail address of over 15 years. Now, first of all, you had me angry when he said that he couldn't finish Lord of the Rings on 4K. Google?
Yeah.
You are depriving this man of at least half a day's worth of watching stuff.
Oh, dude.
At least.
Yeah.
Like, right off the bat. This is bonkers, though. So he keeps going. It gets worse. He says, I absolutely have not done anything to violate your terms of service. So I can take this no other way than you decided to turn this bridge. Consider it... Oh, to burn this bridge. Sorry. Consider it burned. Terraria for Google Stadia is canceled. Shock face. My company will no longer support any of your platforms moving forward. I will not be involved with a corporation that values their customers and partners so little. Doing business with you is a liability.
Oof. Oof.
Oof. Like, that has all the things that I've wanted to say to Google, but it doesn't matter if I'm saying it.
Oh, man.
Man,
Rough.
So that has just gone through the internet. It's been wild. I had to reply to this. I don't know if you read my reply, Rowdy, but I liked it. And apparently people really liked it. It has a couple hundred likes. I put, this doesn't surprise me one bit. It seems that people don't really work at Google anymore. Only algorithms that are the equivalent of releasing 1,000 angry Roombas and a house full of cats with no litter box.
Oh, gross.
Could you imagine?
There's poop everywhere.
It's just smearing everywhere. And that's how I imagine Google is nowadays. Like, they got these people that are, I guess, brilliant, that make these algorithms that are supposed to do the work of real people. But it just... Have you ever used a Roomba or like a robot vacuum cleaner?
Oh, I have a Roomba.
Oh, you do? I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Has it ever eaten anything that it wasn't supposed to?
You know, we're very diligent about keeping everything off the floor, but because normally when it comes on, we do a mad dash to make sure that nothing's on the ground. Well, one day we were out, I think, grocery shopping or something, and it came on at its normal time, and we weren't home, so it did get, what was it, a phone charger, but it stopped, so I was basically able to just pick it up and pull the end of the phone charger out, and everything was fine, but yeah, I've seen the pictures of when it runs over poop.
So you know, there's still human intervention necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you're dealing with something that is algorithmic or runs on a pattern that's supposed to do a certain job, because unexpected things happen. Well, Google doesn't, I think, work that way. At least they don't anymore. There's no checks and balances to whenever a decision is decided by something somewhere. It's apparently not a person, right? So... Yeah, and by the way, we had a Neato vacuums. They're like these little robot vacuums. They actually were really cool, but we own pets. Now, we never had the fabled poop smear.
Oh.
But we have had it eat all sorts of things that it wasn't supposed to, because a dog would drop something on the floor, or we would leave something there because we're artists, and sometimes we make things, and...
You're very messy about it.
Yeah, I think it ran off with that robot from the Jetsons, Rosie. Who knows where it's at nowadays? Or it's in a dumpster. Oh, our dog ate it?
Oh.
What's that? Oh, that's right. We had a German Shepherd that ate it because he was angry at it.
Nice.
Don't leave it alone with your pets.
That's funny.
Anyway, I completely forgot about that. So, anyway, so that is our lamer of the week, which kind of goes into our final segment. bonus points.
Man, these bonus points. It got heated.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so bonus points, guys. Well, I guess we need to do bonus points a little bit later, because we're supposed to talk about games that we're playing.
Yeah, we'll do that here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, I guess, before we jump into bonus points. So hold on just a minute. We'll get there soon. We just have to go find our Roomba and get it back. So after the break, we're going to come back and talk about the games we've been playing lately. And then we'll do bonus points. See you after the break.
All right. Now, our gaming impressions is brought to you by the Board of Concerned Citizens for the future Bethesda Vault Dwellers.
This is a public service announcement from the concerned citizens of Fallout New Vegas. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your software engineer or programmer working for Bethesda Zenimax is? Recently, there have been anonymous sources claiming those associated with Todd Howard are being put into some sort of vault temporarily. Vaults have been known to house horrendous, ungodly experiments put on by Vault Tech. Some examples of this heinous activity come from Vault 12, where the door was purposely left open, allowing everyone inside to be consumed by radiation. This is what we now know as the Ghoulhaven Necropolis. Also, in New Vegas, we have uncovered evidence of experiments in Vault 22 that claim to be a more green way of living. Unfortunately, this Green New Deal ended with spores taking over their human host, turning them into new, green, cannibalistic mutant zombies. Do not let your software engineer or programmer become a ghoul or fungal mutagenic zombie. Keep them out of the vault today for a better future tomorrow.
All right. Well, that was pretty interesting. We may need to check on these vault dwellers. Make sure everything's all right. But we'll go ahead and we'll move on to our gaming impressions. This is basically the section where we talk about the games we played this week, what we think about them. Sometimes it's new games, sometimes it's games that have been around for a while. We just would like to talk about video games here on this podcast.
It's like it's a video game podcast. It's kind of weird, actually.
I mean, you would think, run by, a couple of white dudes in their mid-30s with beards.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's everywhere. All right, Rowdy, what have you been playing lately?
All right, so we'll just go ahead and say it. I've been playing Animal Crossing. I mean,
hey, it's another episode where Rowdy plays Animal Crossing.
I play it almost every day.
I mean, it's a good game. Have you met the new fancy person? What is it, Pave?
Not yet.
Well, that was worthless for me to ask you.
But let's see. I've also put in, because it came out today, I've also put in a little bit of a Super Mario 3D World. I played a lot.
Oh, okay. So last episode, I talked about how I didn't want to get it because I was going to be disappointed after playing it on the Wii U. So is it worth it?
So far, I don't know, man. So far, I've already beaten all of World 1. I saved it right before I started World 2, and I haven't done the Bowser's Fury yet, which is actually the main reason I got the game.
Right.
Even though it's not that long, they say. Looks pretty interesting.
3 hours. 3 hours.
Yeah. I'll have to see.
How's it
maybe
look?
next episode.
Does it look good? Are you enjoying the way it plays? Did you play it on the Wii U?
Oh, yeah. I played it on the Wii U, and I didn't beat it myself, but me and you multiplayered the last level.
Dude,
and it was really fun. It's a good game. I really like it, but we'll see if it's really worth a second playthrough or if it's worth, $60 just to get Bowser's Fury. Probably not.
Yeah, I kind of want to get it just because I like the idea that it's got online multiplayer.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's the big difference. It's not just
Yeah.
couch co-op.
So I don't know. I might end up getting it. We'll see. There's so many other games I need to play. Now, the next game on your list, are you getting this one off PS Now or Play or whatever the heck it is? I always forget which one it's called.
It's PS Plus.
That one.
Destruction All Stars. Yeah, it's basically free for PlayStation Plus users, and it's interesting, man. I really didn't know how it was gonna go. I'm glad I got it for free because I don't know if I would have bought it, but I've had a lot of fun so far playing it. It's a very out there game. So, I mean, everybody knows what a destruction derby is. And if you don't, people in the South like to take beat up old vehicles and then just ram them into each other. Just over
Pretty
and
much.
over
And
again.
you go in circles and just bump into each other. I think whenever I was in football, like the dude that was the janitor out there did destruction derby, and he would always talk to us about, I did the destruction derby last week, and I just run around. Oh man, my ribs were all busted up, but I can still play even though I'm having a hard time breathing. You know,
I 100% believe that story.
it's so true.
But this is pretty crazy because like you basically you could get out of the car, like you could run around and stuff as well, like on foot. So basically the game starts with two teams. So you and your team are standing on this platform. As it's counting down, you run to the edge of the platform, jump off, hit the ground, and go for the first car that you see.
So it's a little bit like Hunger Games with cars.
Yeah, but the cars respawn. So like
Okay.
you could
yeah.
you could jump out of your car, like so you could launch yourself out of your car to grab gems that are in the arena, and these gems will power up your special. So you have a special that's on foot and a special that's in your car where you get because each character has their own special car that they have. So once you've built up your special meter, you hit this button, your car spawns in, and then you have different specials with that. Like one of them has a big blade that will cut other cars in half. Yeah.
Nice.
So also
to me,
when
it looked like twisted metal for some reason, but I don't think that's true.
it's a lot more on the happy-go-lucky side than Twisted
Gotcha.
Metal was. This game it's out there, man. Like all the different characters are absolutely ridiculous, man. But you could actually take when you're on foot and like jump over cars when they're coming at you and stuff, or you could like jump on top of the car and like either cause them to wreck the car or you could steal it from them. So it's pretty intense, man. Like you have to be pretty skilled at this game. And then there's a few different game modes. I need to play it a little more to see if I enjoyed it just because it was something I'd never played before, or if I'm going to put it down after a couple of hours. We'll see. Again,
Hey, but it's
we'll have
part
to
of
do
PS
another
Plus,
update.
though. Yeah. So, all right. So I guess you wanted to talk about this too, and it's on my list, but it's on the list for different reasons.
So,
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
I've really
like
enjoyed
this?
this game.
Okay, so to me, I like the game. Don't get me wrong here, Rowdy. I actually like this game. It's become the game that I play whenever I don't want to think.
Yeah.
I just want to wander around, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, honestly. I'm just kind of like, oh, there's a little puzzle there. And I solved the puzzle. Oh, there's a monster that's going to let me jump into a thing with more puzzles. Okay. And I'm getting to the point to where, like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to figure out what's making me go back there other than I'm too brain dead to play anything else.
It's almost like you get sidetracked like another Ubisoft game, Assassin's Creed.
But Valhalla had good story to it. It had some really nice qualities to it, and the gameplay I think was more cohesive in general.
This has
This one
great
feels
story.
disjointed. The story's good. The story's not bad. I really like the characters. I like the fun of it.
The banter between Prometheus and Zeus is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. People that were complaining about that are dumb. But that's my official decision on it. Dang it!
It was so fun.
Those parts are fun, but I think the problem is this game was sold to me. Well, not so much sold to me. I guess advertised to me, and the people online, the ever-present people on Reddit, I guess, told me this game was the prophesied child of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I freaking love. Viking love, though. And Zelda Breath of the Wild. And you smash them together, and you get the most epic game ever. And that is not quite true.
I would say more Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay, that's really what I meant. Odyssey, which I also freaking love. But they're smashed together, and they're supposed to make this wonderful baby. And it's okay. It's good.
I think it's way more Zelda. Well,
yeah, it is. But the world feels dead to me for whatever reason.
Well, because you're the only living person. Everybody else is a monster, and all the other people are turned to stone. That's why it feels dead, Travis.
Yeah, but it's not that, too. I think it's also just all the colors are hyperchromatic. It doesn't feel like the world's alive in any way. Now, I did find somebody posted this, and it clicked with me. They put on Reddit 2 days ago, Immortals Phoenix Rising feels like a free-to-play game. And I think that's what this is. It feels like a clone, essentially. It has the aesthetic that I expect to see in a game like Fortnite, and that's what they're saying in this, too. It has those characteristics of all these ridiculously popular games that are generally free-to-play, and maybe that's what's doing it. Maybe it's just the presentation that's making me kind of like, eh. But at the same time, I feel like the story just has not been that good either. Now, I'm dogging on this really bad, but you know what? I'm going to go play this for another 30 hours at some point.
So, I agree and disagree with that. As far as the way that it's presented, yeah, it is very colorful and it is very cartoony looking, like a lot of free-to-play games, but it doesn't throw monetization at you and things like that.
Or does it? Have you seen all the stuff they just added to it? There's a new update where there's now loadouts for armor, and they're starting to incorporate some of those things. Not as bad, though, as Fortnite and stuff, but
yeah, but you can't. You could buy cosmetics in it, but there's not a play to win aspect to it.
True. Now I am getting a little annoyed by the mod, just changing the armors and weapons whenever I get a chest, whenever I'm expecting a new weapon or a new piece of armor. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my time then.
No, man. Like, you get awesome. Dude, I've got this armor where when somebody hits me, like, they take massive amounts of damage. And I've upgraded it, and it's legit, man. Now, it is a little annoying that there's just a million different colors that you unlock by opening those chests. But to me, dude, it's awesome whenever you find the actual new weapon and actual armor. Dude, it's fun, man. And I can see why people might be turned off by the story, because Greek mythology's been done so many times.
I like that. I like the dialogue in it, but I feel like there's no real story going on. But I've only put in like maybe 10 or 11 hours. So maybe it gets better.
It's pretty interesting. Like, so far I've met all the gods that you're supposed to save, and there's a lot of inner conflict and stuff like that going on. But it really is just borrowing heavily from Greek mythology, and that's where a lot of the humor of it comes from. Like, a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the dialogue between Zeus and Prometheus, like they basically narrate like as you're playing the game. And there are times when like I ran across what was it? It's like a Cyclops or something like that, and Zeus is like, I never did like that guy, blah, like all this, and then Prometheus is like, oh, not like he made your lightning or anything. He's like, yeah, well, I still didn't like him.
No, I like the dialogue, and the more I play it, I'm sure I'll like it better. And honestly, I shouldn't be complaining about a game that I paid $22 for.
You paid $22 for it?
I paid $22 for this game.
Dude, I feel ripped off, and I only paid $40.
Now, it could be first impressions. Have you ever heard like there's a saying that you have to, whenever you meet somebody, that it takes like 11 times to change that first impression?
Ooh.
You know what my first impression of this game was?
What's that?
Corrupted save files, Rowdy.
Nice.
I lost like 3 hours of play right off the bat.
Now, was that the fault of the game? Was it the fault of the user? Or was it the fault of the console?
I think a combination of Ubisoft and the console, to be honest. So, I don't think it likes quick resume, is the problem.
Gotcha.
Ubisoft games do not like quick resume. They like to lose their online capabilities.
I was going to say, basically anything that's supposed to be online doesn't like quick resume.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. However, it's really annoying when it messes with your save file. Now, I couldn't even do an offline save, though. That's what was weird about it. So, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I never had that problem.
Yeah.
Even whenever I would do quick resume and just was like, screw it, I don't really care about doing that extra mission, So maybe that's why it was. Maybe I'm just like, burned by it, and I'm having a hard time going back to it.
Yeah, well, you're dumb, and it's a good game. So
all right, well, speaking of, this isn't even a good segue. I want to talk about super shiny, happy, bright colors, and Auto HDR on the Xbox Series X gives me super happy, shiny, bright colors. And I have been looking for games that give me super happy, shiny, bright colors. And the one that has done it the best so far is freaking Geometry Wars. Dude. Have you played Geometry Wars?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have not played Geometry Wars, it's a twin-stick shooter. It's like an old Robotron game, which, by the way, best twin-stick shooter, Robotron 64.
It's technically not twin-stick because there was only one stick on the 64 controller.
Dang it, Rowdy.
You had to use the C buttons to shoot. That was ridiculous, man.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever. That thing was awesome.
Love that game, man.
That was so good, though. But that's what this game reminds me of. Now, I'm playing the Geometry Wars like V3, so it's like an Xbox One game. But the Auto HDR is stupid good. So the only thing that I can think of that would be a good comparison if you have the Series X would be Tetris Effect. It gets to that kind of level of just stupidly crazy color and contrast. It's a good time. If you just have $7 that you want to spend on eBay one day, go find this game and play it on the Series X or Series S in the Auto HDR, and it is awesome. I would imagine if you had a actual TV that can do good HDR or a OLED, your eyes would be blistering by the end of it. It'd be fantastic.
So the first time I played Geometry Wars, like at the time it was on like God, what kind of TV was it? Basically, I don't know what kind of TV it was, but it was basically like
CRTV with the channel 3 to go to your thing.
Well, it wasn't that long ago, but it was definitely
RF
in like
switches, man.
It was in like 480p. It definitely was not like 60 frame a second type stuff, and it was still an absolutely amazing looking game. So I can only imagine what it's like now.
Now I'm curious. There's some rumors going around that they're about to do a big update to the backwards compatibility, to where they're going to figure out a way to unlock a ton of games to 60 frame per second without actually having to change anything like the programmers don't have to change anything. So
Nice.
we'll see if that's true, but that's been a rumor that's been going around, and I know they're working on a lot of stuff like that.
It's stuck in the vault.
That's what they're doing. They got the backwards compatibility team in Vault. I would say Vault 1 or Vault 360, but it's in Vault Series. All right, guys. I think it's time to move on finally to the final section that I accidentally tried to bring everybody to earlier, kicking and screaming.
Right.
Rowdy, are you ready for some bonus points?
I think so, man.
All right, guys. So after the break, we're to come back with some bonus points where we asked the lamer community, is it game over for Google Stadia? Guys, let's get some bonus points. So we are going to be talking about, is it game over for Google Stadia? Now, I don't just bring this out of a vacuum, and I'm not just talking about what happened with the head of Terraria being totes mad. That's the official word. With Google's angry Roombas.
Totes upset.
Totes upset. So I'm going to read this from 9 to 5 Google. It is Google shuts down first-party Stadia games. In an announcement on the Google blog, Phil Harrison, Google's vice president and GM of Stadia, shared that Stadia Games and Entertainment, a wide-reaching effort to develop first-party games for Stadia as well as publish games for other developers, is coming to an end. I don't know why, but that sentence drives me crazy. Okay, they're basically saying that they're not going to be doing first-party games. They're not going to publish anything from Google after 2021. They have essentially, there's millions of dollars tied up in these companies, right? If you're developing in a game, you're not developing a game cheap unless you're an indie company. And last I checked, Google is not an indie company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of dropping that aspect of them. So that's why I brought this up. I don't necessarily think Google's going to be around too much longer. And that's kind of what everybody's saying on the internet.
Well, Google Stadia.
Yeah, Google Stadia. I'm sorry. Google's going to be around forever. They're going to be following you around in your pocket for the rest of your life. But so what are your thoughts? Do you think this is part of the signs to come of what's going to happen to Google Stadia? Do you think they might come back and resurrect from the dead like a zombie who will eat your brains?
Look, man, when they announced their own studio and said that Jade Raymond was going to be heading it up, like, she is a behemoth in the video game industry. Like, she's worked for Ubisoft, other big name companies. Like, they had everything there to make it good. They had the people, they had the money, they just didn't do it. I mean, I was somewhat excited about Stadia due to the basically kind of like what I would call the party aspect of it, I guess you could say. Like, so somebody could be playing it on YouTube and you could pick up the game from where they were playing by a link in the description or a link on screen. You could have friends watching you play and be like, hey, I can't get past this part. Can you pick it up and try it? You would hit a button. You could pick up that game from where somebody is and start playing it. So to me, that was really cool. My only problem with it is having to buy the game and have to pay extra to play it in 4K 60 frames a second.
Yeah. And
it just, I mean,
everything.
everything's there to make it good. They just didn't.
Now, and I agree with a lot of that. And I did see in this article that Jade Raymond is leaving Google.
Oh, yeah, no, everything's gone.
While rest of the team will be moving into new roles. Now, there is going to be a focus on third-party developers. So I'll go ahead and read this part too. Harrison recommits to Stadia's continued future, serving as a home to third-party games. Google will continue its effort to bring third-party developers and their games into the Stadia roster, while simultaneously making strides to drive the cloud gaming industry forward. One such effort is for Google to partner with other companies to offer Stadia's technology to create a gaming solution built on Stadia's advanced technical infrastructure and platform tools. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about what I'm thinking, and then we're going to go into some audio from our friend Tyson at the Total Set, who is the Stadia gamer I know that's like super bought into it. But there's something just seeing this right now. I want to focus on this last bit of the sentence, and I did not even notice this earlier. A gaming solution built on Stadia's advanced technical infrastructure and platform tools. So I'm starting to think, and this is completely different from what I was starting to think the other day, who is Stadia about to put their platform on?
Your mom.
Okay. No, Rowdy. Okay, so think about it. Let's think about the big three right now. xCloud is part of the Game Pass Ultimate. It's just a facet of what they're offering. Do you think possibly, now this is just kind of putting out the idea, do you think maybe they're working with another big gaming company like Nintendo or Sony?
No.
I'm just curious.
Just because, like, that's been their competitors. And if they were to, try and put it on something else, like if they were trying to say, Google Stadia is now becoming part of, xCloud, or now introducing PlayStation Now backed by Google, I don't think that there would be enough compromise between the two companies for both of them to be happy.
Right. I could see that.
Because you would just have, imagine how much money Google would be like, well, we think we should be getting this much of a cut. I mean,
and
I don't know.
We kind of saw that with YouTube, didn't we? Where they kind of partnered with various providers of media, and they slowly kind of changed the game on people once they had more people coming to YouTube than like network.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if that maybe was an alternative, like an ulterior motive too, to get into the gaming industry, to eventually have more sway and be in another facet of industry that they can control and eventually put their advertisements in. Because, I mean, that's the core of their business, right? They're an advertising platform. So we would see, I don't know, Pepsi commercials built in. I think EA tried that stuff for a while, right?
All
right.
Yeah, like 2K game, or I think 2K games is part of EA if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up happening. Like they do show up as on xCloud or PlayStation Now or something like that. But I don't know. I just don't see it happening right now.
Yeah. So let's go ahead, because I know we're both definitely on the, it's probably going away, right? Bandwagon. But let's go ahead and listen to some audio from our friend Tyson at the Total Set, who has a different view on this that I think y'all will find interesting.
My name is Tyson Gifford. I am a co-host of the podcast The Weekly Set, which can be found on thetotalscreen.com, on YouTube, or through your podcast client of choice. Our podcast focuses on TV, but we only have about 10 episodes left in that. Our next podcast, On Screen, will cover TV, film, and video games. I am also a Stadia user and pro subscriber. So first off, Stadia's recent news does not mean the service is ending. It isn't a great sign, and I always felt the service had a ticking clock above its head. But if you go into understanding Google's reason for getting into Stadia, you know that this doesn't really matter. Stadia, like all of Google's businesses, is primarily a data play, and as long as Stadia offers them what they need there, both in the collection of data and the training of dataset AI and machine learning, it'll be around. Actually, if Stadia wasn't giving Google what they needed there, but was successful as a business, its days would still be numbered. I have a few other thoughts on Stadia though. As a cheap gamer with not much income to spare, I am typically Nintendo exclusive. They have the games I like the most after all. So to me, Stadia is an incredibly affordable means to play games that my Switch cannot run. I have followed Stadia since before it was Stadia, but the game that made me subscribe was Cyberpunk, which I have thoroughly enjoyed on the service and have nearly 200 hours of gameplay in. It runs great. So Stadia going away for me would be very sad, because it is really my only means of playing games that a Nintendo system can't run, and that's a pretty sizable number. Also, there is a large community of Stadia gamers that fall into a specific niche, lapsed adult gamers, many of them dads, who don't have the mental energy and time to stay invested in gamer culture, or the resources to buy a ton of hardware. This niche is basically ignored entirely, but a good-sized group of them have found a home on Stadia, so Stadia failing would also make me sad for them. Which brings me to my issue with the way Stadia is usually covered and reacted to. Empathy. As a Nintendo gamer, I am used to being treated like a second-class gamer by other gamers and gaming press, which is why it surprises me when I see so many Nintendo-specific YouTubers delighting in Stadia's failures. They should know better. If you enjoy the prospect of Stadia going down, consider those who benefit from the service, and how you would feel if your gaming platform of choice, and by extension the fanbase you are part of, was treated in the same way. Stadia is a very flawed service. I actually think Google has handled almost every decision since the inception of the tech pretty poorly, with the notable exception of how they went big on Cyberpunk, for which they also benefited from CDPR's blunder on console versions. Though I am not an evangelist for Stadia, I often find myself doing their work. This is because there is so much misinformation about Stadia, so I'd like to end by clearing up a few bits. 1. You do not need special hardware or even the monthly Pro subscription to play. If you have a PC, a Mac, a laptop, Chromebook, smartphone, or a Chromecast Ultra, you can play games simply by buying said game, with no other investment at all. If you want to play Cyberpunk, that is just $60 total. 2. The Pro subscription gives you the ability to play in 4K HDR, and gives you a number of claimable games per month. Once claimed, they are yours, as long as you have a Pro subscription and the service still exists. Even if you cancel your Pro subscription, if you get it back at any point, those games are still there waiting for you. I started subscribing in November, I believe, and I have over 50 Pro games. 3. While Stadia does require a good internet connection, that bar isn't as high as you might think. The minimum speed for Stadia at 720p is 10 megabits per second. The national average is 50.2, which is enough for 4K on Stadia. And seriously, the tech is super impressive. It works well at those speeds, though you might want to use an Ethernet cable for connection stability. 4. There are free games you can play on Stadia without a Pro subscription. Destiny 2, for example. So I would ask that before you write the service off, try it. You can do so entirely for free, with no subscription. Or you can take a free 1-month Pro trial, get access to a number of games, and cancel immediately if you have subscription anxiety. And I mean immediately. You can cancel as soon as you sign up, and you will still get the month before the service stops. And better yet, those Pro games you claim will forever be tied to your account if you ever choose to subscribe again. Anyways, that's my piece. Thank you to Lamer Gamer for giving me the soapbox, though the soap inside was a little insulting.
All right, guys, so thank you, Tyson, for letting us know what your thoughts are on it. The whole point of, bonus points, is that we want to have more than one point of view. And I have, Tyson is a friend of mine from GW, from NintendoEnthusiast.com days. So I wanted to get his point of view out there because I hate to tell you, Tyson, but it's all downhill from here.
Oh, no.
I thought you brought up some pretty cogent points of views. I thought it was very well done. But there's only a couple of voices that don't think that Stadia's days are numbered. And I know Rowdy was talking about, we also have a lot of competition in that field, right? I know that there's GeForce, there's xCloud, there's now Luna. So what were you about to? You're about to say something about Luna, I believe.
Well, I was gonna say I can see where Tyson's coming from, just because. I mean, I've been a Nintendo enthusiast since, gosh, almost birth.
Yeah.
But I mostly play my high definition stuff on PlayStation. But I was kind of looking for, just a kind of service to play like little niche games here and there, like nothing that I really want to buy or nothing that I want to waste a whole lot of time in. So I actually invested in Amazon Luna. So I got the Amazon Luna controller that comes for the service, because instead of Bluetoothing to the device and then going from the device to your Wi-Fi or your internet connection, then from the internet to the servers and then back to your screen, the controller strictly goes by Wi-Fi and goes straight to the server. So you have less latency due to it not having to go through so many devices. Now, it was kind of like when I played xCloud. It wasn't the most responsive, but it was still playable with certain games. So I'm going to stick around with Amazon Luna a little bit longer to try it out, because I actually got rid of Game Pass just because a lot of the stuff on Game Pass I could play on PlayStation, on PS Now. So
that is very true.
I mean,
PS Now and Plus have gotten a lot better, I think.
So I mean,
competition, man.
I don't really need Game Pass, and Luna is basically what I want to do for a lot more of the casual games. So we'll see how that goes, man. I want it to work, but we're just gonna have to see.
All right. Well, I think it's time for some more bonus points from Twitter. So we put the question out to Twitter, and we'll just kind of hop back and forth between these. So first up is Lit Gaming Arena Podcast. They said, the only thing I'll give Stadia credit for is lasting longer than I ever thought it would.
Man.
Oh. Wow.
Man.
That is completely different than what we just heard, isn't it? Why don't you get these next two? I mean, and I agree. I mean, at the same time, I've been bit by the Google graveyard zombies. They let it last for about a year or two. That's about the MO for them. All right, why don't you get these next two?
So first off, Omega C Studio just says,
Yeah, Omega C does some pretty cool art over on Twitter.
All right. So Anthony Shelton, Stadia as we know it is over. The shift they make might be better though. Google can make Stadia the Play Store for streaming games. They make their tech available at a cost. Devs and pubs sell the games on it, and then Stadia isn't a competing service. Expect to xCloud and Luna.
Which I think is true. That's what I missed in that article until today. And More Than a Podcast, at More Read a Podcast, says that, considering we don't really know Stadia, we've never been able to pinpoint their identity and know where their direction was. They've been operating haphazardly for a couple years, but now is the time to either get it together or wipe it away.
That's a good point, man. Just because... I don't know. I feel that a lot of... So they've advertised this a lot, but this was mainly supposed to be for the casual gamers at first, from what I understood. I could be completely wrong.
Right.
But it was supposed to be for the casual gamers, yet the only people I know who fully understand what Stadia is are hardcore gamers.
And that's true. And, what's casual about a system that doesn't work easily?
And that's the thing. Like, so if you're supposed to, it's supposed to be easily accessible and easily understandable, that's when it becomes, or to me, when it would become more of a casual system. Again, kind of like how I was talking about with Amazon Luna, it was not the easiest to set up. So that, to me, is where a lot of these streaming services kind of fall off. Oh man, the next one is my boy Dino.
Dino.
Dino just straight up says, "Haha, can't even get it in New Zealand."
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. He was hanging out in the Lamer Gamers Discord, and they actually have pretty good internet over there out in New Zealand. But you know, you got to connect to a Google server, and that's something I didn't even think about is international rollout. You know, it's just an American thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, I figured it would be American, maybe. Well, no, because Google's big in America, not really Japan and other places. I mean, I know it's a worldwide company and everything, but I don't know. I thought it might be big in the EU.
Yeah, that's another one that I thought maybe that would work. So speaking of Japan from a second ago, at Japan Lover 79 says, I think Google should have just released a console. It's not like they're some indie company trying to break into the gaming space. Think about it this way. People want a new Sega console. Google could have easily partnered with or even acquired Sega to meet that demand. And to be honest, would have a ton of exclusives to boot. Atlas, Yakuza, Total War, a ton of other games. They could have seized the opportunity from Microsoft to bring more Western games to Japan, and they fudged it up. Thank you for putting that so I don't have to make up a word. Sorry if this has become more of a rant than an answer. No, absolutely. That is what we want to hear, and I think that is actually a pretty good suggestion to Google.
So it's going to sound a little ridiculous here, but I know they said should have just made a console, but the whole point of Stadia is to not have the console, not put the money and the development into a console. So honestly, what they could have done is just straight up rebranded the what's it called? The Chromecast Ultra as like a Stadia box, or almost like
that might happen in the future.
Or almost like Amazon did with the Fire Stick.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is a Chromecast Ultra? $50, $60?
Yeah.
So you spend that much compared to, $300 for a Switch, $500 for the top of the line consoles right now. I mean, people would gladly pay $50 for that. I think that would help people understand Stadia a little more. The casual people they're trying to get in would understand it easier if it was like, hey, buy this box, and not only will it stream your games, you could also have access to Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. Boom, they've sold it right there.
Yeah, it's the Trojan horse model, right?
Yeah.
All right, you want to hit up Hour a Day Gamer?
Yeah, Hour a Day Gamer
Who's
states,
on Twitch.
My internet would have been too slow anyways. So Google what?
Now I do want to, and this goes back to a point that Tyson made. I do want to mention this. I don't know if your internet would necessarily be too slow. You could still play these games at 10 megabits per second. However, the lag issue, the potential issues between the server to your house, it could even be issues with your Wi-Fi, I think are the bigger problems, right?
I was playing, what was it? Contra 3 Alien Wars. Well, it was part of the Contra Konami collection on Amazon Luna. And when I played it at night, I mean, I had no problems. But playing it during the day, I had a lot of lag. And I did speed tests both times because I have gigabit internet. I don't have fiber internet. I wish I did. They don't offer it in my area. But no, I have gigabit, so I can get download speeds of over 1,000. Now, upload speeds only cap out at about 35 to 40, though. So to me, that was my problem. Like playing it at night, again, no problem. And there's just less traffic at night, at least in our area. During the day, though, it was rough. Yeah. And like I said, my download speeds were the same, same-ish both times.
Right. All right, next up is Tony Coffee at _Goomba, who has a fantastic Twitter.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Says, Stadia always seems dead on arrival, to be honest. Good concept, but too early. Yep, agreed there.
I mean, great concept.
All right. So this next round, let's do back and forth, Rowdy. You're going to be Nerds Amalgamated.
Alrighty.
Podcast.
And then you will be
I will
us.
be Lamer Gamers. I'll be us.
Nerds Amalgamated stated, at this stage, it was a good idea, but the execution was so bad.
So, I'm trying to figure out if your choice of word execution is intentional or not regarding Google's current state of Stadia, which they replied.
The latter, lol. I meant more like the reveal. Oh, no.
So, yeah, I didn't know if it was like a Freudian slip or something, right? Anyway, so I said, gotcha. That being said, it wouldn't be the first Google service to get the axe, and I shared the killedbygoogle.com link.
Yo.
So the next round gets interesting.
A side story real quick. I'm kind of an Apple user now due to the problems I had with a Google tablet that I had. So
Android tablets are so hit or miss.
it was a Nexus.
I've had Nexus products. I've had multiple Nexus products.
It was great at the beginning. There's just no support.
Yeah. I've had just a ridiculous amount of things from Google, and that's why I'm kind of having issues right now. Okay, so this is between Texas Blues and Sparrow is here. So, I'll get Texas Blues. Do you want to do Sparrow is here? Yeah. And I'll get us too, I guess. So, Texas Blues says Stadia seems like a good concept on paper, but their execution of it was horrible. I think its death will be welcome.
Eesh. Sparrow is here says it's horrible for those who never used it and only watch YouTube videos about it. Yeah.
Now I had to ask, what's your experience with Stadia? We try to get as many points of view on bonus points. Are definitely looking for more pro Stadia comments because we needed them.
So then they replied, Stadia works perfect and is my main source of gaming now. I started back in October, and I do not regret switching. I absolutely hate when haters of Stadia bash it for stupid reasons. That's the whole point of my account. Most people who bash Stadia only watch YouTube.
So this person literally goes around and only replies to things on Stadia. So I gotta say, I completely disagree with the fact that I don't know, maybe you are living on the top of this Emerald Tower in the middle of Google's. Yeah, I don't know. Are you like hiding inside their server room, directly connected to it? I have not heard from somebody that has a completely perfect experience. Even people that are critical, even people that are huge proponents of it.
I mean, I feel that if you are in a bigger city, if you have amazing internet services and Google is supported in your area, like with Google Fiber, I feel like this could be true.
Maybe I have still knowing people like that haven't had that.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, are these people based out of where's Google based out of? Seattle?
No, Google is California.
Okay.
Aren't they Palo Alto originally or San Francisco?
So let's say you live, next door to Google. You probably have absolutely flawless Stadia. Yeah. If you live near there, absolutely flawless Stadia. If you are in a city where they installed Google Fiber and it is the main source of internet in your area, it's probably absolutely amazing. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, man.
I know, and I realize, like, even if you're a huge proponent of something, you got to admit the flaws. Like, for instance, especially at the beginning of the Xbox Series X, which I'm a huge proponent of, it definitely ran some games worse than the PS5 did. Like, I remember the wobble fest of Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the beginning.
Well, that was Ubisoft.
That is true.
So, I mean, but for us, we live, an hour outside of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
It's not feasible. And Houston is not a Google Fiber city, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
So you're not going to get good Google Stadia performance in our area. I mean, if we lived in a bigger city and stuff, like I said, it might be feasible, man. Just for us in our area or most of America, it's not feasible.
All right, so that is it for our Twitter replies. We're going to go ahead and move over to Discord, which I think will be a little bit trickier for Rowdy and I to go through.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and start with Lovely Shoulder. Shoulder's always on the show in bonus points, but he changes his name to some different type of shoulder each time. So do you want to take Shoulders?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Shoulder states, I think Stadia as a platform will seize, but the technology behind it will carry on to other platforms or might be licensed out to help carry it forward. Despite what some people say, cloud gaming isn't viable for the vast majority of folks, and the next-gen systems now in full force, Stadia's days, I think, are numbered. That's basically what I was saying earlier about the, vast majority of people. It's just not feasible at this time.
Yeah. And I'm going to, by the way, we also had a discussion, LSB, Lightsaber Blues, the amazing Lightsaber Blues, was asking about, have we ever seen evidence that shows Stadia has ever been a success? And I tried to find it. I even tried Google. I asked Google, and it was like, we had 1 million people in April, maybe.
Cyberpunk, man.
So, yeah, Cyberpunk is definitely the biggest thing that happened for them.
Not gonna lie, man.
Now,
if I could carry Cyberpunk over to another console, I would have gotten Stadia and bought it just for that.
Yeah, that would be cool if you could switch it over. Now, Drufus is next, and Drufus likes me to try to change up curse words to other things. So he says, streaming is such a stupid... what word are we going to put
Fudging.
here? Falafel. Fudging concept. Why would anybody want it? In areas where data is limited or area where speeds are low, they can't get Stadia because it falafels them. Stream options are fine, like what Steam has. So, yeah, that is part of it. We also had Fried Shoes, just said words, because we were all arguing and having a good old time. And then I will get down to the... I won't Rowdy. Can you read the one right here from Evil Twin over at Game Witness?
Yeah. All right, so here we go. It's a little long one. When I booted up Stadia to try Destiny 2, I felt like that scene with Logan in Season 2 of Westworld. I've never seen Westworld.
I haven't either. Let's act it out. You ready?
So Logan in Season 2 of Westworld says, "What? We're not here yet? Nobody is here yet?" But there I was, playing Destiny 2 on a refurbed tower I bought at Micro Center for $100 10 years ago that shipped with Windows 8, but it didn't like my width. My router isn't
Wi-Fi.
Do what?
Wi-Fi.
Oh, Wi-Fi. I thought
we're streaming this.
I thought they were saying width, and that was just slang for bandwidth. My router isn't great, but I checked with my phone, and I get signal out of my backyard through a brick wall. Yet Stadia struggled with a thin old drywall between my living room and bedroom. I know. Use Ethernet. Not an option here. And if a multi-million-dollar project is foiled by a thin wall using the most common connection type, that's kind of a problem. The tragedy of Stadia is the same with electric cars. The tech is there, the supporting infrastructure isn't. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic. It's got to be able to do it. And I think that was about it from over there. So we're going to head over to... we already got Dino's. Let's get to the Texas Discord. So, Palf our buddy Palf says it's over for Stadia. Google has the attention span of a goldfish. If a new product or service doesn't turn a profit within their first quarter of going live, Google just gives up on it. Which I replied with the best gif of a goldfish apparently wearing a shark fin saying savage.
Oh, let's see here, man.
They also continue, too. They say, I'm so disappointed in Google in that regard. What if Paige and Brin just gave up on Google when first starting out because they didn't become millionaires within a year of launching?
Billionaires.
I'm sorry, I forget that they speak in B's, not M's. But Google Stadia to some people is a BM. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Saucy Dragon. Do you want to read Saucy Dragon 899?
Yeah, Saucy Dragon says, it was my understanding for something to be over, it had to have started. Not a single person I know used Stadia, to my knowledge. I know you tried Stadia.
I did. I tried it for quite a bit. I actually paid some money to Stadia.
Nice.
It did not work the way I wanted. I tried everything I could. And I mean, it's just the nature of the technology.
Again, the infrastructure, man. I will preach it. I will say it a million times. It's that infrastructure, man. I mean, the area that we live in, it's just there's not good internet infrastructure.
Oh my gosh. So this is great. Udinger. I used it for like a week, and when they gave it away for free for a few months. But honestly, no one has any faith in Google anymore. Like Palf said, they can't be trusted with anything long term. No one is ever going to use any new tech they put out since they'll probably drop it in a few quarters. I've been saying this for years personally, right? But I love that we still talk beyond this. And then later on today, so he put that yesterday at 8:42, and then today this morning he goes, this conversation reminded me that I haven't actually canceled my Stadia subscription.
Oh,
that's not good, Udinger. Oh, yeah.
That's kind of how I felt like last month when I was like, oh, I've paid for like 3 months of Game Pass and haven't even turned my Xbox on.
Yeah, I could see that. I see my friends list, and it's just like, Rowdy hasn't played in years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's hard to be on multiple streaming services though, and you got that fancy router with a binder around it that plays video games.
Yeah, it's like my Trapper Keeper.
Hey, I think that's the show, Rowdy.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
it only ended up being 2 hours long.
Yeah, it did. I thought I wasn't going to record today, and I found, thank you everybody on Twitter, when I asked you to lend me just a little bit of your spirit for lending it to me, because spirits definitely help.
I mean, you didn't quite make it to 9,000, but
I still haven't hit 9,000. Maybe this weekend. It's definitely not going to be 9,000 degrees out here in Texas. We're expecting a balmy, 14 degrees.
Look, I know people are going to make fun of us because up north, this is like a normal Tuesday for them. But
that's sandal weather, flippers weather.
When it gets to 50 degrees in Texas, people freak out. You know that part in Ghostbusters where everybody's on the streets of New York freaking out because all the ghosts have been released, and that's what happens in Texas whenever it gets the slightest bit cold. When you actually get ice on the roads in Texas, game over for everybody. And
Google Stadia.
Dude, it's dropping down to like 15 degrees here. That is unheard of. I'm going to have to go ride my horse out to my oil derrick and make sure that it hasn't frozen.
You know what's really funny is you say this in hyperbole. But I swear, That is happening down in the town next to me. I don't think you can necessarily freeze an oil derrick. I don't think that really works that way. If it's running, the viscosity of that's going to create some friction and some energy. But we definitely have to check our pipes. So, all right, guys, it is time to end this lengthy podcast today. Thank y'all for listening to the Lamer Gamers podcast. We have been having quite a few new listeners. It's been really fantastic. Thank y'all for joining in the Twitter. I know it's not this time of year. I'm like back and forth from the Twitter, so I apologize if I disappear for a while. But with your spirit, we shall prevail. I think that's it for me, man. Do you got anything?
No, man, that's going to be it.
All right, guys, you have a good one. We'll see y'all next time.